Abraham stood beneath the vast expanse of the night sky, staring at the countless stars above him. Each one twinkled like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. "So shall your descendants be," God had told him. But as Abraham looked around, he saw only silence and barrenness. He was old, Sarah was past childbearing age, and the dream of a son seemed impossible. Yet, despite all logic and reason, he chose to believe. Faith had never been easy. When God first called him to leave his homeland, Abraham had no idea where he was going. "Go to the land I will show you," God had said, without revealing the destination. He was asked to abandon everything: his home, his family, his security, and step into the unknown. Most men would have hesitated, questioning, bargaining, or refusing outright. But Abraham simply obeyed. He packed his belongings, took his wife Sarah and his nephew Lot, and set out on a journey with no clear map, only a promise. As the years passed, that promise seemed more distant than ever. God had promised to make Abraham the father of many nations, yet he remained childless. He and Sarah tried to remain faithful, but doubts crept in. After all, they were human. Sarah, in a moment of impatience, urged Abraham to have a child with Hagar, her servant. It was a desperate attempt to fulfill God's promise through human means. Ishmael was born, but God made it clear that Ishmael was not the child of the covenant. Sarah would bear a son against all odds. When Sarah finally conceived and gave birth to Isaac, Abraham must have felt an overwhelming sense of joy. Laughter filled their home as the impossible became reality. Every doubt, every struggle, every tear had led to this moment. God had been faithful, but just when Abraham thought his days of testing were over, God asked him to do the unthinkable. "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and sacrifice him as a burnt offering." The words must have pierced Abraham's heart like a sword. This was the son of promise, the fulfillment of everything God had spoken. How could he give him up? How could the very God who had blessed him now ask for his most treasured possession? And yet, Abraham did not question. He did not delay. The same faith that had carried him from his homeland now carried him up Mount Moriah. With Isaac walking beside him, he climbed higher and higher, each step heavier than the last. The boy, unaware of what was about to happen, asked a simple yet heartbreaking question. "Father, where is the lamb for the sacrifice?" Abraham's response was quiet but full of faith. "God will provide." At the top of the mountain, Abraham built an altar and placed Isaac upon it. He raised the knife, his heart breaking but his trust in God unwavering. And then, "Abraham, Abraham," an angel's voice rang out, stopping him in his tracks. "Do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God." Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught in the thicket. God had provided. Just as he had believed, just as he had declared, God had made a way. Abraham's life is a powerful testament to the strength of faith. It teaches us that faith is not about understanding every detail. It is about believing that God is faithful even when circumstances say otherwise. It is about trusting in the unseen, walking forward when we cannot see the path, and surrendering to God even when it hurts. Many of us face our own trials, moments where the promises of God seem distant, where fear whispers that we are forgotten, where logic tells us to give up. But Abraham's journey reminds us that God is always working, even when we cannot see it. His timing is perfect, and his plans are greater than anything we can imagine. When life feels uncertain, when we are asked to let go, when we do not understand, will we trust him? Will we, like Abraham, step out in faith and believe that God will provide? Faith is not about having all the answers. It is about saying, I don't know what will happen, but I know the one who does, and when we place our trust in him, we will see miracles beyond our wildest dreams. Just as God made Abraham the father of many nations, he can take our small faith and turn it into something far greater than we ever imagined.